teacher. My name is Rafael Albarazin. During this hour lesson, I'm gonna teach about report speech. Students are from second baccalaureate. The proficient level of the students is B1 by 1. So now I'm gonna tell about the objectives of this class. During this our lesson, students will be able to start difference between direct speech and reported speech. Also, they will be able to speak a reported speech and able to recognize the grammar structures to form this grammar tense. And the final objective is that students will be able to write a report speech. So, I think it's time to tell about the didactic material that I'm gonna use for this lesson. So, some materials that I'm gonna use for lesson are scissors, markers, speakers, a board, worksheets, flashcards, a computer. So now I'm going to explain why I'm gonna use these materials. So I'm gonna start with flashcards. Here I have 3 times of flashcard. The reason because I wanna use this flashcard is that I have prepared some pictures that are related to the reported speech. Using this flashcard, one students can say about what they dreamed last night. For example, one student can say it. Yesterday I dreamed my house burning. So this is the reason because I'm gonna use these flashcards. So now I'm gonna explain why I'm gonna use this kind of flashcard. Here, as you can see, we have different kinds of sentences, and students will have to have 8 sentences until they form something like this. A lot of sentences, something like this. And I'm gonna ask the students to work in pairs. And this card I'm gonna put in their seat, and one student I'm gonna read. For example, one student can say it: I might be late, he is late. So one student is going to create the report speech. For example, he explained that he might be late. Yes, there's a reason because I'm gonna use this title worship. So now I'm gonna explain why I'm gonna use another kind of worships. For example, here I have similar worships. Here I have sentences and questions. Here students could practice what they are learning in class. Also, I could provide feedback if they don't do something. I could notice what they need feedback. Now I'm gonna show you another title worksheet. For example, as you can see, report speech and a quiz. Here students have to read the sentences and report, and this is a quiz that I'm gonna take at the end of the class. So now I'm gonna tell a little bit about the methodologies that I'm gonna use for this lesson. In this lesson I'm gonna use the grammar selection method, communicative language teaching and structured approach. Yes. So in the fourth step, we have anticipatory set. Here, I'm gonna show some flashcards to the students. For example, this flashcard. This is a house burning. A boy who twists her ankle, and a boy who's crying. So I'm gonna post in the board this the flashcard here, for example, and yeah. So now I'm gonna use a listen track. Here the speakers and the students I'm gonna listen what the speaker is saying. Then I'm gonna invite one student to come to the board and said, Mr. Takuri or Mr. Alvaro Singh or Mr. Alves, come here, and could you tell me what you have heard our speaker said? And when Mr. Takuri could say, the speaker said that my house had been burning yesterday. Could be example. If the student commit a mistake, I'm going to provide the feedback. Here we have a void. One student can hear the speaker what he says. Another student could say, Mr. Alvaro Singh could say, the speaker said that the boy had been crying yesterday. Sometimes they could be mistakes, and this is time I'm gonna provide the feedback. Yes. So after that, and in order to perform the main teaching input, I'm gonna ask students to work in pairs of two people, two students, two classmates, and then I'm gonna explain the grammar rules, how to form the report speech, and I'm gonna use the audiolingual method here. After that, I explained the grammar structures. I'm gonna share the students and some worksheets. And here the students are gonna practice what they did at the beginning of the class and during the time we are explaining about the grammar rules. For example, one student said, what did he ask you? Have you ever been to Alaska? So one student have to report. Here we have some lines and students have to report and what is he like? One student can report in the same way the sentence. So in the step number 4, we have modeling. This is a modeling. All the activities that we have done in this part of the lesson will help students to develop the rest of the activities. So in guide practice, I'm gonna work the students to work in groups of 4 students. In order that one students read the sentences and report, and they could provide feedback between them, because working with 45 students, 40 students is very hard to provide students at each student. So that's the reason because I like to work in groups. Yeah. So for example, my kids are at home, and one student can say it, Mr. Carlos or Mr. Alvaro Singh or Mr. Takuri said that her kids were at home. They are reporting. Yes, it's very interesting. Another student is to another student, for example, another student, I can't go to work. Mr. Alvarez could say. Mr. Alvarez said that he could go to work. The students who few mistakes have extra points in this activity. In the independence practice, I'm gonna perform another activity. Students, I'm gonna work individually reporting the sentences. As you can see, she's studying in Paris. She went there 5 years ago. So students report the sentences. When finish these activities, they are gonna deliver this paper and share to the class about what they could do that about these exercises. And assessment, I'm gonna perform a grammar quiz. This is a report speech present simple. Also, I have another quiz. This is about the past simple, and students have to have two possible answers. It's very simple. It's very fast because only have to choose A, B, or C. Anything else they have to do here. And doing up, I would like to mention about the closing review. Students will have to create some sentences about the report speech. Yes, and I was forgetting to show you my lesson plan number 2, and this is a useful material that's helped me to teach my classes in appropriate way. Thank you, teacher. I hope you like my way to explanations.